Coming up on iOS today, Rosemary Orchard and I, Mikah Sargent, are going to help you get through the holidays by planning and preparing. And I just checked the calendar and the holidays are right around the corner, so we got to get through the show so I can get out there and make this happen. Stay tuned for iOS today.
Podcasts you love.
From people you trust.
This is Twit.
This is iOS Today, episode 628, recorded Tuesday, November 15th, 2022. Plan and prepare your holiday get-togethers. This episode of iOS Today is brought to you by 8 Sleep. For a limited time, 8 Sleep is offering Twit listeners up to $400 off their Sleep Fit holiday bundle by visiting 8sleep.com/iOS. After November 30th, go to 8sleep.com/iOS to check out the pod and look for other exclusive holiday savings or save $150 at checkout with our normal offer. And by Bitwarden. Get the password manager that offers a robust and cost-effective solution that can drastically increase your chances of staying safe online. Get started with a free trial of a Teams or Enterprise plan, or get started for free across all devices as an individual user at bitwarden.com/twit. And by Addigy, the only Apple device management platform that combines MDM with live agent capabilities to manage and secure your Apple ecosystem regardless of your Mac expertise. Visit Addigy.com/twit for a free 14-day trial to see how Addigy helps you manage your Apple devices in real time, because IT problems can't wait. Welcome back to iOS Today, the show where we talk all things iOS, tvOS, watchOS, HomePod OS, and all the OSs that Apple has on offer. We love to talk about these operating systems and the games and apps and goodies that you can download for them, the accessories you can slap onto those devices you buy, and it's all of that stuff. I am one of your hosts, Mikah Sargent.
And I'm ready to help everybody avoid those holiday SOSs, Mikah. I'm Rosemary Orchard. Hi, everyone. Sorry, I had to put the pun in there. I had to. Somebody had to.
Yes, and I'm glad that you did. Yes, there is some news this morning that we will get to during the news segment as Apple has rolled out its emergency SOS satellite feature for iPhone 14 devices. And I have refrained from tapping a setting inside of my iPhone that has just popped up. So we'll take a look at that during the segment and see, unfortunately, how much Kevin will need to blur out as we do it, because I don't know what location stuff it's going to show. It's completely new to me. I've never tapped on this button before because it just rolled out server side. And so we'll see how that goes. But we are talking today about planning and preparing for the holidays. I was talking to Rosemary Orchard ahead of the show, and I said, you know, Leo and I, whenever we used to host the show together, we tended to do it the week of Thanksgiving. And I think for a lot of folks, that's a little too late. They are wanting to get things planned ahead of time, at least a week in advance. And so this week is the perfect week to be covering that and making sure that you out there are planned, prepped, and ready to tackle the holiday seasons using your iOS and iPadOS devices. So let's kick things off with what has come to be an incredibly powerful application that I've said before. I think people sort of tried it in the beginning, ended up finding a third-party app that really worked for them, and then maybe never checked in again with this app and realized just how much it can do. So tell us about Reminders, Rosemary.
Yeah, so Reminders, one of my fast becoming favorite apps on iOS, and that's not just because of the shortcut support, but it's because of all of the great powerful features that Reminders has to offer. So it comes pre-installed on everybody's iPhone and iPad and Mac. So it doesn't matter what device you're using it on, even if you're on Windows or Linux, iCloud.com has all of your reminders. But not only that, you don't have to use your iCloud account. You can actually use this with other accounts. So if, for example, at work, you have an Exchange account, those to-dos, well, if I scroll down, then you'll see I've got my work account in there with tasks. Perfect. So, you can have all of those lists in one place. And what's really great is you can share these lists too. So if I go and I add a new list, it gives me a choice of the 2 different accounts I've got. So I tap on iCloud, then I can go through, set it all up, give it all the names and everything. And so I am going to call this one iOS Today. And then what I can do after that is I can actually share this list with other people. So when I tap on the share icon, it gives me lots of options, including, hey, there's a little Mikah over here. So I can just tap on that and send that over to him. And I have to send a little bit fast. So there we go. That's going off now. And then Mikah will actually be able to add things into this list. And more than that, this is the holiday season, okay, where hopefully we are doing the divide and conquer approach, okay? So maybe one person is in charge of desserts. Somebody else is in charge of, let's say, for example, entertainment, like organizing which films are going to be watched, making sure that you've got all of those queued up and so on. So I can actually set these up. So I'm actually going to create a different one. I'm going to call it the app cap. Hatmageddon. Let's maybe not. Something. We'll call it the app cap hat for the time being. So I've added one simple task, but when I tap on that info bubble on the right hand side, then I can have all these different reminders set up, due dates and times, things like that. Very important if somebody is doing pies or things like that. That's fine. But then I can also sign a reminder, and because I'm sharing this list with Mikah, I can say that this is a Mikah thing. So this is going to be assigned to Mikah. And now when I look at this, I can see that something is assigned to Mikah. I'm guessing Find Something Purple is going to be assigned to me shortly because I've got the purple hair, purple dress. May have a purple app cap if you stick around to the end of the show. But not only this, you can go through and you can add your notes, you can add URLs, you can have reminders when messaging, you can flag things, you can add subtasks. Okay, so if you need to break something down, so somebody just says pie, okay, well, that's fine. That's fine for them. What does pie mean? Well, you can turn it into by ingredients. So our app cap hat is now turning into more things. So by ingredients, bake pie, let pie cool, and bring pie. Oops, I failed to type there. It was being pie, but I'll mark that down as bring pie. If you want to be the pie, that's fine. Do whatever works for you. And now I can see all of these tasks, but I can also just neatly collapse them. And it looks like I've given Mikah some homework. He's going to have to tell us what kind of pie he's going to make for us.
Yes, I will think long and hard about that. No, I really like to make custard pies, particularly pumpkin pies. So much delicious spice. And if you mix up some homemade whipped cream to go along with it, very good stuff. Yeah, again, Reminders app, I think people should give it a go. Try it and make sure that they are Pika Sargent. Thank you, Kevin. You know what? That is a nickname that I would love to have because pies over cakes at all times. But anyway, I think people should just give it a go and see how awesome it is to collaborate using reminders. I think that gets forgotten. And now I've got, all of these things syncing up on my end too. I was able to sort that for Rosemary, but not only do I know that, I've got to do an app cap hat, but I can see all of the different things that I need to do, the steps that I need to take within it. So think about setting this up with your family where, it's cousin Calvin's job to bring the green bean casserole, and cousin Calvin maybe doesn't have always forgets to put the almonds in the green bean casserole. So you can put that sub step of don't forget the almonds. And then cousin Calvin goes, oh, right. And then throws them on at the last minute, and then they're not properly blanched, and then it's not that great, but at least they're there. I think Reminders is awesome. And I think to go along with this is another collaborative app that I use with a lot of people because I can trust that they on their end are going to have this app on their phone versus some of the third-party apps that I really like to use that I may not be able to have that with them. And so my partner and I, for example, we're going to talk about the Notes app here in a second, have one for media that we have maybe brought up to the other person at some point and then realized that the other person hasn't seen that media or read that media or what have you. And so we've got an ongoing list that we can sort of check off over time and go, okay, now we've both checked this out, and you get to see what the other person thinks. But the Notes app can do so much, and you can bring so much into it that suddenly you're on your way. So tell us about your thoughts there on the Notes app from iOS.
Yeah, so I love the Notes app. It's great, especially with, the updates that it's had to shortcuts as well, of course, special place in my heart. But one of the things I really love about the Notes app is the fact that you can share folders now, not just individual notes. And for everyone going, oh, I don't know if I really want like a shared list with, my family or friends, all the time. That's okay. You can delete the list, or you can delete a folder when you're done with the holiday season. But what you can do right now, if you open the Notes app, assuming that my iPhone wants to show up, it's apparently turned invisible. There we go. It's no longer being the invisible man. It's finished with Freddie Mercury. So when I create a folder, I can call this one iOS Today, which, I think I've done one of these before, so I may have 2 iOS Today folders shortly. Perfect. Then I can go into here and I can tap on those 3 dots in the top right. And then just like I did with the reminders list, I can then share this folder with Mikah. I can also add folders underneath this. I can move this around. I can view all the attachments and things like that. But it means that any notes that we put in here can, be shared between the two of us. Shall I set that up? And this I find is incredibly useful because I'm just going to swipe back here. And then you'll see that there's a little wish lists folder. Well, in my family, we have wish lists and we share them with each other. And yes, you can see that I am looking for a unicorn dressing gown for Christmas. That is indeed on my wish list. It's really nice to be able to share things like this with your family and friends. And especially if you're doing a Secret Santa or so, noting down all of those dates and times. I've got another recommendation for a Secret Santa specifically in a moment. Is great. But not just that, within any note itself, you can have more than just a note. You can have little tables. If you want, you can have checklists. If you tap on the camera icon, then you've got the ability to, just take a photo, put in something that you've already taken, or you can even scan a document or scan text so that you can just, I did this at the weekend. I bought something. I wanted to make sure I kept the receipt just in case. So I just found the nearest flat table, put it down, and used the scan documents feature right here to scan that into a note and add some details. You've also got the ability to do handwriting so that you can, do a little drawing if you want to. That's not a great drawing, but we'll take it. Then, of course, you've just got your standard text formatting options when you tap on the capital A, lowercase a. So, give it a try. If you've not given it a try in a while, or you've thought, I don't know, this feels like it's a bit simplistic for me. Remember, sometimes the simplest solution is the best solution, especially if it's one that grandma can use as well as you.
There you go. That's perfectly put. All right. Up next, we will talk about 2 kind of location-based apps that will help to, I think, smooth out the holidays, particularly when I think of those family members who go, I'm right around the corner. 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 And then you call them later and they're like, I haven't actually left the house yet, but I'm right around the corner. Tell us about how we can use Apple Maps. Yeah, there you go. There you go. Tell us how we can use Apple Maps and Find My to smooth out those holiday issues.
Yeah, well, I'm sure all of you have that person in your life who is not great at actually being where they said they were going to be when they were supposed to be there. Or maybe you've got that person in your life who, much like me, is not necessarily great at getting to the right place because they Googled it and they found the wrong place. And I've also managed to show you the iPhone instead of my iPad. There we go. What you can do in Maps, of course, is you can add favorites. So I've got a number of favorites up here. I've got some of my local stores that I frequently travel to and so on. But you can also make a guide. And this I really like because once you make a guide, so I could call this, I'll call this the Twit Special. So that we've just got something in there. You can actually share that guide with other people. So I'll add a place, and I'm going to try and add the Twit Studios in Petaluma, and let's see if it'll get me there this time. Last time I tried this, it definitely wanted to take me a little way out of my way, but there we go. So Twit Studios will be opening soon. It's a little early in the morning, perhaps, over there. But now I've got this. But what I can actually do is this whole guide. I can just tap on that share icon at the bottom here, and then I can share this guide, and I can share the guide with, for example, Mikah or, other friends and family. And this is very useful if, people are going to be, coming from all over. Maybe you've got some family who's going to come and stay with, a friend of yours, or, they're coming and staying with with your brother and you live just down the road, being able to put all those addresses into one location so that everybody's got that information, they can just tap on it. Or maybe you've got some family friends who are going to come, family or friends, or both, who are going to come visit for a little longer, and they're staying in a hotel or something, and they're going to go visit some restaurants and places like that, and you want to put together some recommendations. Put that into a guide, share the guide with them, because then you can just add as many places as you like. There's all sorts of things here, lots of things from Stockholm, from my recent trip there. But, it's very easy to add places. And then when somebody goes, oh, where is that thing that you were recommending for me? Then they'll find it in the guide. And it works with, like, when they search in on their phone in general, it will show up there as well, which is really great. So I really love this. And I really like being able to add favorites as well. I also don't forget that you can now add stops in journey planning in iOS 16 and iPadOS 16, which means that if you know that it takes you, you're going to need to stop off because you're going on a long drive, you're going to need to stop off a couple of times, you can add those stops in, to wherever is appropriate on your route or route, and rearrange those stops to, get everything into the right order. Maybe later in the year, maybe you're going to be doing a Santa style impression where you go around to different families and friends and drop off gifts and cards for them. Being able to put all of that in and map that out. One of my favorite features.
Love it. Anything else that you want to say about helping find and keep track of everybody on the holiday seasons before we take a break?
Well, I would like to give a little shout out to the Find My app. I'm not going to show this because otherwise it's going to show exactly where my parents are right now. But what I love doing with the Find My app is setting a notification for when somebody leaves somewhere or when somebody arrives there. And this is something that I can do. So if Mikah is sharing his location with me, which he's not doing right now, but if he were sharing it with me, and say he were the one who were always chronically late for things, I could actually have it send me a notification when he leaves his house. And at that point, I can then set up a secondary notification for when he arrives here. It's going to be a bit of a long commute, Mikah, so I'm going to give you some grace on that and let you do it over a couple of years, perhaps. But, you can actually have those notifications. The person will be notified that you've created these notifications, and you can only do it if they're already sharing their location with you. But I find this to be a very, very useful tool, and I use it myself, and I set it up to send notifications to other people so that they'll be told automatically when I'm leaving. The way that this ties in with maps as well is in CarPlay. You can actually share your ETA with people, and it'll tell you approximately when you're going to get to somewhere, and it will update that based on the traffic and speed that you're driving and things like that too. So it is well worth looking into these features. Of course, Find My sadly only works for location sharing if you are in a purely iOS family. But if you're not, then I would like to just throw a quick recommendation out to Glympse, Glympse, as that can share your travel across the platforms if that's what you need.
Nice. Glympse. Glimpse. Good to know. All right, let us take a quick break so I can tell you about the fine folks at 8 Sleep who are bringing you this episode of iOS Today. This holiday season, got a great gift for you to give. It is the never-ending gift of deeper sleep. Seriously, it is a blessing of better health, of better mental capabilities, of better happiness. I mean, just all over, better and deeper sleep can make all the difference. And that is where 8 Sleep can come in to help out, because consistent good sleep can help reduce the likelihood of serious health issues. It can decrease the risk of heart disease. It can lower blood pressure, and it can even reduce the risk of Alzheimer's. I have mentioned before about how my 8 Sleep Pod Pro cover, that's what I've got on my mattress, has absolutely changed the way that I sleep, because I used to sleep so very hot. I would wake up in the middle of the night with night sweats and just be uncomfortable, and then have to get up and cool down and then get back in bed. And it was not good. Now, because of this Pod Pro cover, which has thermoregulation technology, I can sleep so much better because I stay cool throughout the night and I get consistent good sleep. And that means that not only am I falling asleep in record time, sometimes I look at the data and it's like, wait, it only took me like 20 minutes to fall asleep. I used to toss and turn for hours before I ever fell asleep. It also means that I get better deep sleep as well, and that's thanks to the 8 Sleep Pod. It has a tech layer that fits onto your mattress like a fitted sheet. And the pod dynamically cools and heats each side of the bed to maintain the optimal sleeping temperature for what your body needs. With the pod, you can start sleeping as cool as 55 degrees Fahrenheit, or if you choose, as hot as 110 degrees Fahrenheit. What does that mean? Well, clinical data shows that 8 Sleep users experience up to 34% more deep sleep. Amazing. With more deep sleep, that means that you can be confident that your body is moving through those restorative sleep stages, which you need to have happen, those deeper stages of sleep, because that means better physical recovery. It means better hormone regulation. It means better mental clarity. And it's not a holiday miracle, even though it might sound like one. I mean, it is a miracle of sorts. It's fantastic the way that it works, but take it from me, someone who has done a lot of research in sleep science and has done a lot of reading of peer-reviewed journals about sleep science. It sounds like a miracle, but the science is there to actually make this happen. And what is magic but science we don't yet understand? If better sleep is on your wish list, look no further than the new Pod 3. For a limited time, 8 Sleep is offering listeners of Twit up to $400 off their Sleep Fit holiday bundle. $400 off? What? Which includes my personal favorite, the thing that I have on my bed, the pod cover. Go to 8sleep.com/iOS to get the exclusive holiday savings. 8 Sleep currently ships within the USA, Canada, the UK, select countries in the EU, and Australia. That's 8sleep.com/iOS. Now, if you're listening to this episode after November 30th, don't worry. Use that same URL, 8sleep.com/iOS, to check out the pod cover and look for other exclusive holiday savings, or save $150 at checkout with our normal offer. Thank you, 8 Sleep, for sponsoring this week's episode of iOS Today. Let's head back to the show with an app that I am excited to download. I had not heard of this app, and my family is planning to do a name drawing system this year for, we celebrate Christmas. And so for Christmas this year, instead of everyone getting everyone gifts as we've done in the years past, we are all drawing names. But now I may have them downloading an app. Tell us about this app that you know of, Rosemary.
Well, this is not just an app that I know of. I'm using this for the second year in a row to organize my work Secret Santa. The app is called Elfster. It is a free online service, and to be completely clear, it makes its money by putting referral links or affiliate links into the wish lists of people. So if you put things on your wish list and say it's something on Amazon, then when somebody clicks on that link, then it'll use the Amazon affiliate system so that they get a little cut of that from Amazon. It doesn't cost any extra for the users. But what I really like about Elfster is all of the functions and the features that you've got so that you can actually set things up. So you can use this for more than just doing a gift exchange. You can actually set up different wish lists for various things as well, so that you can add items onto that wish list and get them at any point. So I have a wish list here where I've just written down some nice sort of general ideas. You know, like I'm always on the quest for a nice notebook to use. Chocolate, milk or dark are my favorites, and I love reading. Sherlock Holmes and Miss Marple. But I can also create a wish list and I can give it limited visibility or private, or make it entirely public if I wanted to. But where this really comes in is when you actually create a gift exchange, which I'm not going to show you, folks, just in case it accidentally reveals all of the information of all my colleagues at work who have not agreed to be surprise guests on the show. But what you can do is you can put everything in, and then you can add rules as well. So say, for example, Mikah and his partner were going to be joining my Secret Santa together. Well, I could actually put in a rule that says Mikah's not allowed to draw his partner and his partner is not allowed to draw Mikah. Because this then means that you don't get the, well, I just got you something that I know that you love because, you know, you live together. Obviously, you should know each other really well to get presents for each other like that. So Elfster will let you restrict that.
That's so cool.
You can also do international gift exchanges. So if you've got a whole big family all over the world, you can actually allow or disallow international shipping and things like that as well. You can put in information and times and dates. You can have multiple drawing rounds, or you can just do what I've done, which is I've sent everybody a reminder email today saying, hey, if you didn't sign up, now's your kind of last chance. Because there is going to be the drawing on Thursday in my case, because our Christmas party at work will be 3 weeks after that. So I figured 3 weeks to buy presents will be a good time. But yeah, it's just a really nice system to use. It is free to use. There are paid features that you can get it in, take advantage of. Though I have to say, second time gift exchange organizer, I've not needed to pay for anything yet, and I don't imagine that I will anytime soon. But if you're looking at doing a gift exchange in your family, then definitely, or within your friends or at work, check out Elfster for seeing if that will make life any easier. Because you know what? There's the app, there's iOS and Android, and of course there's a web app as well with a website. So, everybody should be able to take part. And you know what, even if grandma doesn't necessarily want to sign up to have an account, you can create a placeholder for her, and then she'll still be involved, but you get the convenience of the system doing all the drawing for you. So if anybody complains about who they got, Aunt Mavis being difficult to buy for or whoever, then you can say, sorry, it was the computer. I had nothing to do with it.
I love it. Yeah. Elfster. Like I said, I had to get that as quickly as I possibly could because I think that could help smooth some things out and make it a little bit easier. All right. Next on the list is actually, I'm going to mention one of mine really quick because I think it kind of falls into this same lineup. And it is a free app that is an iMessage app. What that means is it is an app that you can download in the App Store for iMessage. This is a kind of a utility that can be used as part of your iMessage workflow, and it lets you create polls that other people who are part of that conversation can vote on, and then they can, you can kind of come together to figure out whatever question you're kind of asking yourself. So let me go into the Rosemary chat here. And so now at the bottom of the screen, I've got iPhone, or I've got the different iMessage apps, which if you don't recall, may have been a while since you last opened the iMessage App Store or looked at these apps down below, you can access that by tapping the A that is to the left of the text box where you type in text. So on the far left is the camera button, and then to the right of the camera button, to the left of the text entry field is the App Store for iMessage. Or rather the drawer. So in this, we can scroll over until we find polls. And then I can start a poll, and I'll call it, let's say, app cap choice in this case. And so then I will add some options for caps. We'll say plain white beanie, and then create another plain blue beanie. Oops.
Ooh. Mike is really going out on a limb with his fashion choices today. There's no bandanas involved?
Plain yellow beanie. I'm trying to sway this poll by choosing, and then I will do Thanksgiving themed hat. And then I will tap done. Now, I can make some settings changes. So I can, for example, choose to see who voted. I can add, give other people the option to add more options if they want to, show a winner whenever everybody has voted, and also give people the option to vote on multiple options. I'm going to turn that one off and save that as default. And then I'll go back to polls and I will send the poll. And of course, it's Rosemary and I who are participating in this. So I'm going to tap and choose Thanksgiving and send my option, and we'll see how that poll ends. But everybody can very easily, what I like about apps for iMessage is that it makes it very simple for folks to go and get those apps. I kind of wish that the team that does apps for iMessage and the team that works on app clips would get together and make it so that you already know where I'm going with this, Rosemary. So app clips are these sort of bite-sized versions of apps that people can download temporarily and then get rid of after they're done using them. So an example of that would be, I've used it before for parking. If you go to a parking place and it says scan, and then you scan it, you get the app temporarily just to make the purchase, and then you can your phone will automatically just get rid of the app after a period of time. I kind of wish that apps for iMessage worked this way, because I used to always get a little bit of teasing from my family, because I was always the person making people download apps that they didn't, necessarily need or want on their phone. And so I kind of wish that these worked that way, where they could be a little bit more ephemeral, where, the moment you tap on it, it downloads what it needs and then does it without you kind of having to interact with it. But in the end, I still think that polls is a good one for anyone to have on their phone, because if you are in a group of people and you're trying to decide between 3 different restaurants to go to, this is outside of the holidays, of course you can, or which of these Spotify playlists should we play during Thanksgiving when we're all getting together, that kind of thing.
Yes. I should note, though, if you don't have the app installed, so I deliberately uninstalled the app from my iPhone for this, then you will still see the poll, and I can still see the choices and the options. And when I tap on it, then it will actually pop up the App Store for iMessage and allow me to download it. Over on my iPad, of course, I can just go ahead and reply to that poll for Mikah. I'm very tempted, Mikah. That plain white beanie is sounding pretty good.
No!
I don't know. This is the problem with using a polls app with only 2 people. Whereas if we added the rest of the Twitch studio, I don't know, maybe we'd have a little bit more going on there.
But yeah, that's polls for iMessage. Now, let's get even nerdier with Rosemary, your next pick.
Yeah. So my next pick is very much true to form in Rose is always a nerd, and it's Numbers. But Numbers is a really great app for a number of things. See, pun intended, to do on your iPhone or iPad. And one of the things that I actually like using this for is gift lists. So when I'm buying things for people, so I'll put the people in one tab or in one column, and then I'll put gifts in the other. And then, if I could actually spell the word gifts, that might be better. There we go. So I can just zoom in a little bit to make that a little easier to read for anybody who is actually looking at the video at home. What I will then do is add some columns for purchased, wrapped, and delivered. So there we go. So I've got those, and I will just tap on these these columns and select them, and then I can use the formatting on this to actually change that into a tick box, so that now I will actually be able to see for each gift if I've purchased it, wrapped it, and delivered it or not. And then I can just go through and make a very simple little table, and I can even get a nice title. Holiday gifts 2022. And then I can go through it. I can put my grandmother, and I can put down that I got her a lovely bath set. And I've actually already purchased that, but I have yet to wrap it and I have yet to deliver it. So I've apparently got some things left to do, but it's a very simple, very fast way of adding this, putting this information somewhere that you can get back to later. And one of the most important things that they've been working on really hard recently, the iWork team, this is in all the iWork apps, Pages, Keynote, Numbers. When you tap on the share, there's a collaborate option. So now if I wanted to collaborate on a gift list, say, for example, with my partner, I would be able to do that, which I'm sure for a lot of folks is going to come in very handy. What my family also make a tradition of doing is actually noting down who has given or who's received what presents from whom at Christmas and birthdays, because it often gives you a great idea of what to get them next year. Yes, funnily enough, you can use what presents people give you to guess what they might like for themselves.
Yay. All right. And then we'll round things out here. I always mention this, but I think that it always bears mentioning personally. My favorite recipe app, which is Paprika. This is a great app for obviously finding recipes, but what I really like about it is the way that it not only formats recipes, so you can go online, you can find a recipe on a site, use the share sheet to get it to into Paprika, and it will automatically kind of process things and then output an app. So a recipe. So the 7-layer dip is a great example where it came from this website called Spend with Pennies. I popped it into Paprika and it came up like this. But what I love is I am a person who, as much as I love apps and I love devices that I use for lots of things, when it comes to cooking, I really like to have a physical recipe in front of me, typically on a piece of paper. And I love Paprika's recipe formatting options. So if I tap on the 3 dots and I tap print, it will give me all of these choices. First for page type. So if I wanted to do it as an index card, I could. A lot of people are familiar with the sort of old school index card method of having recipes. But I've got full page. I can change the size of the paper. I can change the way that it's laid out. So you could do landscape, font size, the margins of the page, and then the layouts, including 1 column or 2 columns and 2 columns wrap, and then include or exclude info, notes, and nutrition, whether there's a photo, which I'll just choose none for the photo, and then tap next. And then I can see down at the bottom the way that the recipe is going to end up looking. And I can make adjustments to it if I'd rather it look a different way with wrapping, for example, or any number of other settings. So that is one of my favorite features of Paprika, but there are also some other features that folks might like to use, particularly regarding setting up meals. So you can say, I've got these recipes and these are the things I'm planning on making for this specific day. And then it can output for you a grocery list. You can set it to export to your calendar. You can print out your meal plan for that week. You can set up menus, which is kind of fun. So you can set up what different things will happen at what time and then print out a menu if you want to. So you could think of small restaurants that may make use of this application, for example. And then the option to keep a list of what is in your pantry, which I think is fantastic as well. You can go as far as to, of course, include the name of the ingredient, but how much you have, whether, again, you still have it, where it came from, the aisle that it came from, when you bought it, when it expires. And then you can start to set this all up and know what you have available, what you don't, and what needs to be added to the grocery list afterwards. And the grocery list can be sorted according to what aisle it comes in, so you can make sure that you're grabbing what you need. And last but not least, I'll mention that Paprika has a built-in browser so that you can go and find those recipes right there in the app and get what you need. Sometimes, these recipe authors love to put huge amounts of text above the actual recipe, and occasionally there'll be some helpful information in there. So I will hop over to the website within the app to go see what it was that the person had said to kind of improve upon things. But yes, I love Paprika for being able to organize, manage, and find what I need when it comes to the recipes that I make. And of note, you can buy the app for $4.99 in the App Store, one-time purchase. I know some people have talked about how they do not like subscriptions, so they may want to check out Paprika with the $4.99 one-time purchase. One last thing I'll say too, I forgot. If the recipe has a timer or has a period of time in it, you can easily start a timer by just tapping on the timer in the directions, and then that will show in the sidebar so you can kind of keep track of things, which I think is very helpful as well. So yeah, that's Paprika. All right, Rosemary, why don't you round us out here?
Well, I mean, there's plenty of other things I'd love to recommend. Crouton, one of my favorite recipe apps, should probably get a mention, but we have talked about it before. But especially this time of year with lots of Black Friday deals going on and so on, we're going to talk about those a little bit in the news section. Then you should keep an eye out for what deliveries are coming your way, especially if you're traveling. So don't forget, you can sign up for various different postal services, special servers where you'll get notified in advance about things that are coming and can automatically reroute things or have them delivered to safe spaces. But one of the things I love for tracking parcels is Parcel. Yes, it's called Parcel. It's a great app, which is available on iPhone, iPad, and of course on your Mac as well. And it syncs between all of them. It can sign into your Amazon account and automatically import your Amazon purchases. You can forward emails to it. And if you want to get push notifications about all of these things, then it is a $4.99 a year in-app subscription that is optional. But what I really love about Parcel is the fact that it can track things from all of the different carriers, and it does not require me to have used a particular kind of shopping mechanism or similar to sign up for the website and so on. There is some parcel tracking built into Apple Wallet. And I have to say, I have bought things from about 5 different retailers over the last week, and one of them has shown up in the Apple Wallet parcel tracking. So I'm going to be sticking with Parcel for the time being, as it is free to download. And of course, one of my favorite features, it's got a little rainbow app icon option, which, I really appreciate having a little bit more color on my home screen. So I'm glad that I can take advantage of that and make sure that I'm not losing any deliveries at the same time.
All right, before we get into the news, let us take another quick break so I can tell you about Bitwarden. Hey, you out there, do you have a password manager? If you don't, you should. And Bitwarden can be there to help make sure that your passwords are secure and that your online accounts are much more safe. Bitwarden is the only open source cross-platform password manager that can be used at home, at work, or on the go, and is also trusted by millions. With Bitwarden, you can securely store credentials across personal and business worlds. Bitwarden recently rolled out password-protected encrypted export, so you can export your vault in an encrypted format using the password of your choice. Mobile username generator. This is really cool. It includes support for 3 of the 5 aliases that Bitwarden supports, so that way you can set up special names for everything. The DuckDuckGo email alias, support for DuckDuckGo's service that has been integrated, so you can bring the number of supported alias services up to 5, and the DuckDuckGo macOS browser integration. See, Bitwarden partnered with DuckDuckGo to create an integration with their forthcoming macOS browser. Stay tuned for when they'll launch this feature. I've been beta testing that browser, so I'm well aware of DuckDuckGo's browser. Bitwarden is also a must-need for your business. Yes, it's not just for personal accounts. It's fully customizable and adapts to your business needs. You can use Bitwarden Send, which is a fully encrypted method to transmit sensitive information, whether text or files. You generate unique and secure passwords for every site with enterprise-grade security that's GDPR, CCPA, HIPAA, and SOC 2 compliant. And the Teams organization option is just $3 a month per user, and their enterprise organization plan is just $5 a month per user. You can share private data securely with coworkers across departments or the entire company. Individuals can use the basic free account forever for an unlimited number of passwords, or upgrade anytime to the premium account for less than $1 a month. Less than $1 a month. The family organization option gives up to 6 users premium features for only $3.33 a month. At Twit, we are huge fans of password managers. We're always talking about password managers and how important they are to help you make pseudo-random unique passwords. Bitwarden is the only open source cross-platform password manager that can be used at home, on the go, or at work, and is also trusted by millions of individuals, teams, and organizations worldwide. Get started with a free trial of a Teams or enterprise plan, or get started for free across all devices as an individual user at bitwarden.com/twit. That's bitwarden.com/twit. Thanks so much to Bitwarden for sponsoring this week's episode of iOS Today. All right, back to the show, and we are kicking things off in this news segment with the emergency satellite feature. So as of today, Apple has rolled out for iPhone 14 devices its new emergency SOS via satellite. Now, it's not just emergency SOS. It also includes some other features, including Find My via satellite, which allows someone who is in an area without the sort of typical methods of connectivity to share their location using a satellite. I was curious how Apple was rolling this out, if it was going to be via some sort of update, a 0.02 update or something, or if it was going to just magically pop up. And it appears that it is and has just magically popped up. In fact, I've done something that I'm not very good at doing. I've waited. I got this notification this morning and I waited until the show for all of you so we could see what this is like. In my settings menu, there is something that popped up that says get help during an emergency that was not here before. And so I have not tapped on this. I don't even know what's going to be behind it. So we're going to go through this together and see what the process is like. So I'll tap on get help during an emergency, and it says learn about emergency SOS and review your medical ID. So I'm going to tap on learn more, and I'm going to do that with the screen off for a second just to see what pops up. Okay, so I've tapped on that, and it shows how your iPhone can help during an emergency. With Emergency SOS, you can quickly and easily call for help and alert your emergency contacts. Just press and hold the side button and either volume button, and then drag the Emergency SOS slider. So you may be familiar with the option to do that. You may have also set it up on your phone where you can tap that side button several times to be able to activate Emergency SOS. So different people have different ways of making that happen. I'm going to tap continue. And then it shows emergency SOS via satellite. If your call to emergency services won't go through, iPhone can help you text responders via satellite. When connecting to a satellite, make sure to be outside and have a clear view of the sky, which I am currently not. I'll tap on learn more, and up pops some more information, and it kind of tells you everything that you need to know. If I tap learn more again, yeah, it's just going to give me some more information, but I could always go to the website to see about that. I'm going to tap continue again, and we'll see what pops up next. It says, hey, go ahead and review your medical ID to make sure it's up to date. So I will tap continue without the screen on to make sure that this is all accurate. And if you've set up your medical ID, you know that it has your name, it has your age, it has your drug allergies or reactions, if you've got any of those, blood type, weight, height, the primary language that you speak, your emergency contacts, and you just make sure that all of that is correct. Mine is. And then now, it says you're done. You're all set. You will be reminded to review your medical ID in 6 months. And then it says learn how to connect to a satellite in an emergency. Try the satellite connection demo. So I'm going to tap on that, and then we're going to see, because I'm inside, that it's not going to work how we expect, but I will tap on it just to see what this is like. And it says about satellite connection, iPhone can help in an emergency when a call won't go through. After dialing emergency services, a button will appear to start a satellite connection. During an emergency, you'll answer emergency questions that can help you get the assistance you need faster. To test the satellite connection, make sure you're outside. Your cellular connection will be temporarily turned off during the demo. So I won't be able to go any further than this. But maybe what I'll do later is go outside and record my screen, and we'll see what that looks like. In fact, that might be the next hands-on Mac. We'll see. All right. So that is Emergency SOS via satellite, and it is available right now in the US and in Canada. It's going to roll out to France, Germany, Ireland, and the UK in December. So it will be coming to Rosemary soon. And it is, Apple talked a whole lot about it during the event where it was announced, when the new iPhone was announced. But it does have some features that are good for, essentially, because a satellite can only send out a small amount of information and can only do it so quickly, they have you fill out a poll or fill out a series of questions so that it can kind of handle getting that information to the satellite and then to the emergency services that it needs to, rather than you trying to text back and forth and get as much information as possible. They've talked to emergency services providers to figure out what are the most commonly asked questions, what's most helpful to know, and then they use that to kind of help make the system happen automatically without you being involved. This, of course, is a feature that you should probably, that you want to not have to use if you can help it. And that hopefully, very few people end up needing to use, but it's a very cool feature that they've got it. And of course, along with this, Apple has invested a lot of money into the satellite system that is at the heart of this feature. So yeah, all very interesting stuff. Well worth checking out. The links in the show notes to learn about it. But that is Emergency SOS via satellite. Any other things you wanted to add on that one, Rosemary?
The only thing I would like to mention, folks, is don't put yourself in danger to test this feature out. I'm there's plenty of people out there, Joanna Stern, Wall Street Journal, and there are folks on The Verge and various other places who have been actually testing this out in partnership with Apple as part of the review program. So if you're wanting to find out more about how this works, there is no need to go and put yourself in danger somewhere on a mountaintop very remote. Let's read some guides first. And let's all be grateful this feature exists and hope that we never need to use it.
Indeed. All right. So this next bit of news, I saw this come out from 9to5Mac, and it was something that originally Apple had restricted the ability for AirDrop to receive a message. Let me try again. In AirDrop, which is the feature where you can share files and links and other things with nearby phones or other Apple devices, Apple gave you the ability to choose between only your contacts being able to share stuff with you. So when somebody nearby tried to AirDrop to someone, and they would have those little pop-ups that came up to see who they could send it to, then if you had it set to contacts only and they were not a contact, then they would not be able to see your iPhone or your Mac or whatever in that list. If you had it set to receive from everyone, then your name and a little bubble would pop up in that list and they could send something to you. Well, Apple is making a change to iOS in 16.1.1, I believe, which will change the way that it works, where there will be three options just like before. One is turn off receiving entirely, so AirDrop does not work for that device. The second one is contacts only, meaning that you can receive AirDrops from your contacts. And the third one was just everyone before, which is at any time, anyone who uses AirDrop can send you a message. I've never had that one turned on because I don't want AirDrops from random people. Gross. So what's changing is that third one that says everyone will now say, or will soon say, everyone for 10 minutes. That means that you can essentially temporarily turn on AirDrop for everyone, but then turn it off afterwards. The only time I've ever used everyone is when there seems to be some sort of issue with AirDrop where it's not realizing that my other device is, a contact, and then I'll use it. But outside of that, I don't ever have everyone turned on anyway.
Yeah. What I find really interesting, though, is this 10-minute limitation is limited to China. And so it appears to only be available in China. And I think that's a real shame. I would love it if I could turn this feature on myself and just say, okay, on for 10 minutes and then off. Instead, what I do is I try and remember to do it. And I, play with shortcuts. This is me to make sure that this goes back to the contacts option. But I find it very interesting that this is being added. And I wonder if now that people are finding out that this is something that Apple are willing to do, if there's going to be user demand to add this feature to all of the OSs everywhere. Because I do think that a lot of people have everyone on and they don't necessarily know it or intend to. The number of times I have sent people a little silly cat meme with, hey, your AirDrop settings will let anybody send you anything. And I always make sure it's a nice little cat meme. It's nothing scary. It's nothing creepy or anything. But, I will sit there on a plane and do that or something because there will be 20 people nearby who've got settings set to share it with everyone. And it's always quite amusing watching them look around going, oh, wait, who was that? And if you do it to enough people quickly enough, then they'll be looking at each other going, was it you? Was it you? Was it you? I'm basically just trying to give them safety information without actually standing up and making an announcement that all of you are doing something that will allow people to share stuff with you that you may not want. Don't forget, folks, contacts is going to be your friend there. And if somebody wants to AirDrop something to you, put it onto everyone and then put it back after.
There you go. Yeah, it's a good tip, and I think one that people should know more about. All right, let's see. Where are we now? Oh, you've got some deals that you wanted to talk about. I'm glad you found these deals. This is great for folks.
Yeah, so if anybody is looking for the new AirPods 2, then imore.com found that they are available for $90 off, which is pretty great. So these are the AirPods 2. They're not the new AirPods, which are the AirPods 3. They're not AirPods Pro, but they are available for $89 on sale. So that is worth keeping an eye out on, and there are going to be a lot of good deals probably coming up this Black Friday, especially on things like the AirPods 2, which have a replacement device available with AirPods 3. But one thing I have been seeing is that while there are discounts going around, a lot of prices are going up in a lot of places. And Macworld has an article suggesting that Black Friday may be a best chance to buy a Mac before prices significantly increase, depending on where you are around the world and what is happening in your local economy as well as the global economy. Apple may end up having to increase prices on their devices. So if you are in the market for something and you've kind of been on the fence for a little while, then it may be a good time to get it before the price increases, especially if you are somewhere where Apple's currency conversion doesn't necessarily quite line up with what you're expecting.
Good points all around. Anything else that you'd like to share as far as Black Friday goes?
Yeah, there is a little discount on Macs for small businesses, but mostly what I want to suggest is that folks just keep an eye out. imore.com is a great one. They do regular roundups of deals, but 9to5Mac and their companion site, 9to5toys.com and Macworld will also be keeping an eye out for any great deals that are coming up. So if you are looking to get something, keep an eye out, maybe use some RSS subscriptions to get all of these into one place so you can just scan through really quickly looking for the things that you want. Hopefully, fingers crossed, if you're in the market for a new device, you're going to find a great deal and be able to take advantage of it. But don't forget, there's always the refurb store as well.
There you go. All right. I think, let's head into Shortcuts Corner because I think I can hear the music. It's time for Shortcuts Corner, the part of the show where you write in with your shortcuts requests, and Rosemary Orchard, our shortcuts expert, provides a response. Before we get into the Shortcuts Corner request for today, it is time to take a look at some holiday features. What do you got for us, Rosemary?
Well, there is a brand new Philips Hue product, which is out. It's out now. Actually, it's available. So I'm suspecting that this one is not going to be falling into some of the great Black Friday deals. But they are the Festiva lights, Festavia string lights. So if you have ever looked at fairy lights before and gone, what would be really cool is if I could have different colors and have them change and control it from my phone and change it to different modes. Well, you might want to take a look at the Festavia lights from Philips Hue. They are HomeKit compatible through the Philips Hue hub, and they also have Bluetooth so that you don't have to have the hub in order to control them. They are indeed out today, and I had a look. They are available on the Meet Hue website over here in the UK, and they look pretty cool. So if you are looking to go fancy on your holiday lights this year, maybe you've got some older ones which are not so energy efficient, this could be worthy of looking at for an upgrade. And if you're looking for something similar and you maybe don't really care about the Hue stuff, then Twinkly is a good option. Last year, they added HomeKit support. And those have been out for a while now, so it's worth keeping an eye out to see maybe if you can get a Black Friday deal. What I really love about the Twinkly lights is you scan your tree with your phone. Okay, once you put out the lights, or you scan whatever shape you've made. Okay, now flash all the lights in a pattern, and then you can literally draw on that shape, whatever that shape is, and add different colors in different places, so that you can individually pinpoint certain lights into certain colors if you wanted to, which is just quite fun. I quite like drawing over the tree with my finger in different colors and just seeing what happens to it. Speaking of that, I did think, that we're getting to that time of year where people are getting out holiday decorations. It's getting cold and dark, so people want to adjust their lighting and similar. And doing this in the HomeKit app is something that you can do. And if you're using HomeKit, you should certainly look at doing this. But you may run into a couple of limitations when you tap on that plus button and you add a new automation. Because you'll see that there are, people arriving, people leaving, time of day, an accessories controlled, or a sensor detects something. But if you look at the time of day and you see, well, sunset, okay, you can add a limitation of, okay, when I'm at home, or if you've got multiple people who share your house, then there'll be everyone's at home, someone's at home. I personally am at home, but that's kind of it. You don't get other options like, okay, what if it's cold? Well, what you can do now, if you actually scroll to the bottom in the Home app when you create an automation, if you've got lots of accessories, that's going to be right at the bottom, or just start in the Shortcuts app and tap Create a Home Automation. If you convert it to a shortcut, then you can actually throw in an if there. And you can do all sorts of things with this. So one of the things that you may like to do is if you are looking at putting up some holiday lights, then you might want to check whether or not it's, say, December, because you only want the lights to light up in December. Well, if you grab the date and you pop in a format date action and you just put the current date in there, then what we'll do is we'll actually change this. We're just going to change this entirely to a custom date format. And I'm just going to put this down to the 3 capital M's. So that's just going to give me the 3-letter version of the month. Then I can actually check if that variable is, and I'll just type in DEC, and then I can say, okay, so if it's December, I am going to, and I'll just pick running a particular HomeKit scene for this, and I'll just set, the BZen one here, and do that, and then tap on the icon on the left, and I'll just duplicate this and then move that down and change the scene to something else. Let me select a different scene here. I will pick Be Productive if it's not December. There we go. So here's how I can change it based on the month. And that's, something that you may want to be more granular with particular dates if you wanted to. That's all easy enough to do. But there's other options in here as well. Like you can check the weather. So you can get the current weather. And that will be, the weather at your location. And then you can, in your if action, I'll just remove the date option for us here, and I will just get the weather conditions. I can choose various things, so I can get the temperature, the high or the low of the day. I can see whether or not there's good visibility, what the dew point is, and do different things based on that. And that is very, very useful to be able to do. But there's one more thing that you can do, which I personally feel is something that everybody should know that they can do with shortcuts in the Home app. You can get the state of something in your home. So, for example, when you're coming home, you always want something to run, but you want it to run a bit differently based on whether or not, say, the garage door is open. Or you can get the state of something. And so I'm just going to go down, actually, and I have some fake garage doors that I've added here. And so you can say, what is the current door state? If there is an obstruction detected, or get the target door state. I'm going to get the current door state. I'm just going to change this to, say, current door state is, and then I will put 100, which is closed. Then if the door is currently closed, then I want it to do this. And if it's currently open, then maybe I want it to turn on the outside lights into a red color so that I am alerted that the garage door is open for some reason. I should probably go around and check on that. And these are just some of the great things that you can do with, especially it getting to the time of year, at least up here in the Northern Hemisphere. Down in some Southern Hemisphere, you're moving into the time of more light and more warmth, which is very enjoyable for you. But up here, we're getting colder and darker, and it's definitely a good idea to look at rejigging how you do some of these things for different times of year. So feel free to go in and have a play, folks. And if you've got questions about those sorts of things as well, then do feel free to write in. We got some really good Shortcuts Corner requests this week, but I thought, considering the fact that I've done a demo, we would instead take a look at Archie playing in the garden, because Chris wrote in with a suggestion to follow up on the podcast downloading from last week.
Ooh, all right. Yes. Then let us follow with that. Chris says, thank you so much for Shortcuts Corner. I look forward to hearing about new ideas every time I am listening. Watching your podcast on the 9th of November regarding podcast downloading. I created a shortcut to download new podcasts when I'm at home on Wi-Fi. How I created it was using the following conditions. Battery level detects charge, sets variable of battery level, waits a period of time, reads battery level and compares to a variable. If greater than, then open my podcast app. Note that my podcast app seems only to download when it's open, so background refresh is probably turned off. That was me adding that, by the way. Back to what Chris said. Note, I do have different shortcuts running when my phone is on charge at night to dim the screen and put reduce white point on. P.S. See my pet tax, which is Archie playing in the garden. We will take a look at that in a moment, but let's have Rosemary first respond to this, and then we'll talk about Archie.
Yeah. So I thought this was a really great suggestion, Chris, and I'm really glad that people are writing in with their shortcut suggestions for the various different problems that people have run into. And So, of course, when you download a shortcut from somebody else, in this case, when it shows up on screen, you'll see that I am importing, I hope. There we go. I'm importing the shortcut that Chris has made. So I've got the private sharing enabled in the settings app. If you don't have that enabled, then it'll pop up a little error and be, no, you can't do this. But if I tap on add shortcut, then I'll actually just add the shortcut and then 3 dots to open it. And you can see Chris has been really lovely and he's added some comments in here to explain what's going on. What Chris is doing is essentially he's checking over a period of 240 seconds. Okay. And 240 seconds, that's 4 minutes. So that's quite a while, but he is checking the battery level every second to make sure that it is going up, and that not going down. And then he opens the podcast app. And he has it send him a little notification and stop the shortcut from running when he actually opens this. But this means that, when he's at home, it will actually, or when he runs this shortcut, it will just check that the battery level is going up, not going down. Very important if you don't want to be running out your battery. And then it will actually open the podcast up to download it. That is one really nice way to try and work around that. And you could use this for a number of other things as well, checking whether or not you're on your home Wi-Fi before you do things, or maybe that you're not on your home Wi-Fi before you do things, in the case of our request from last week where there was a limited amount of bandwidth available during the day. Maybe just checking if it's between these times, do this. And if it's between those times, do that instead, would do the trick. But this is a really lovely idea, Chris. So thanks for sending it in.
And now let's take a look at the pet tax again from Archie.
If you are Indiana Jones, look away now.
Yes, I should warn you, this is a snake, but it's a very cute little snake.
It is. I think a handsome snake for sure.
Yeah, I believe it's a boa constrictor. I'm not entirely certain. I'm not very good with recognizing snakes, but it's rather cute.
Hello, Archie. I'm sitting very still.
It's lovely to have all these folks send us in the pet tax in so many ways. And
yes, I love the diversity of the pet tax, and we thank you for that. All right. Let's take another quick break so I can tell you about another awesome sponsor who are bringing you this episode of iOS Today. It's Addigy. Addigy helps you do more than just manage your Apple devices. It's perfect for this show. Addigy is the only fully cloud-based, multi-tenant Apple MDM platform designed for scalability. That's mobile device management, MDM. Addigy gives you the features, the functionality, and the flexibility you need to customize and manage your Apple devices how you want, so you can ensure your Apple infrastructure is optimized to best support your environment and help your team be as productive as possible every day. So if you have a team of Apple users, their Macs, their iPhones, their iPads, everything in between, Addigy is going to help simplify that IT management for those Apple devices by creating a solution that's so flexible and customizable that any IT team can use it to easily maintain and secure the Apple devices in their managed networks. Addigy helps you ensure every Apple device, Macs, iPhones, iPads, and more, are secured, they're supported, they're ready to scale. And you may be going, okay, cool, but there are lots of these kinds of systems out there. What makes Addigy different? Well, first of all, you get zero-touch deployment, get new members onboarded securely in under 5 minutes, so it doesn't have to take all day to get this process underway. Secure authentication with trusted providers. Eliminate security gaps with tested, authenticated features your users can rely on. There's real-time device monitoring with automated remediation. You can manage devices in real time and resolve issues automatically before they cause downtime. There's custom compliance features, so that way you can enjoy your peace of mind knowing that your Apple infrastructure is always compliant and up to date. Self-service capabilities as well, yes. That means that your IT team can be freed from endless reset requests with 24/7 user access to resources and applications, patch management to prevent delays. You can fix bugs early. You can minimize downtime by rolling out new updates and patches as soon as they're available, and easy customization and scaling options to meet any needs and adapt to any environment with fast, free, catered migration. It's an MDM tool that works as hard as you do at the speed of now. So get started today with Addigy's award-winning support. When you partner with Addigy, you get white glove support for you and your team from a team of experts who live, eat, and breathe Apple. They care about your success as much as you do. Addigy isn't one of those cookie-cutter MDM solutions. They're kind of obsessed, of course, in a good way, with helping you secure and scale your Apple environment. If that sounds good, well, let's get to work. Guarantee your Apple success with Addigy. Visit addigy.com/twit for a fast, free, and easy 14-day trial. Being proactive doesn't have to be a pain in the asterisk. Start your trial today and learn why more than 4,000 companies use Addigy to remotely track, configure, manage, and secure their Apple fleet. That's addigy.com, addigy.com/twit. Thank you, Addigy, for sponsoring this week's episode of iOS Today. All right, let's head into the feedback time. First comes in from Tanya, who writes in, on your November 8th show, Melissa wanted to slow their downloads or download their video podcasts at a certain time. I think Pocket Casts is a great app for them. Pocket Casts allows the podcasts to be streamed at their leisure and uses no space on the device and only uses the bandwidth being used to stream the podcast. Alternatively, if they are only listening to the podcasts in the background, audio may be the way to go moving forward as it will use considerably less bandwidth. Tanya. So you may remember that someone called in and they said, hey, or they wrote in, said, hey, I love listening or watching rather Twit podcasts, and I am running into an issue where after a certain amount of data is used in a month, then my ISP starts throttling my connection. And I am working from home, so I need to maintain that connection and that speed of that connection and the bandwidth of that connection. But there is a grace period. If I use any data that I use between 11 p.m. and 7 a.m. does not count against that cap. I do not get throttled if data is downloaded in that period of time. Is there a way for me to make it possible for my podcasts that I like to listen to download from 11 p.m. to 7 a.m. so that the rest of the time I can listen to them and not have it count against my time? So Tanya had some suggestions there with doing podcast streaming as opposed to podcast downloading. But I think that still is not going to be a great solution. One option, and I'm curious to hear, Rosemary, your thoughts. One option that our internal team suggested was instead of using a podcast app to download and watch the show, to watch the show on YouTube, because YouTube does not, it does its own compression and stuff, and so it's not going to take up as much data. So you can use the podcast app to kind of be notified, hey, it's up, and then head over to our YouTube page and check it out there. But Rosemary, did you have some other thoughts you wanted to share?
Yeah. So, I actually, fortunately, Melissa actually popped by in the Club Twit Discord after the show, which was really cool. So we got to have a little bit of a chat about, how this was working and any suggestions and so on. And she was actually able to tell me I was right. It was Starlink, as they're the ones that announced the data caps. So I passed on the YouTube recommendation, because the internal team, put their heads together and came up with, that's actually probably a pretty good solution. But the idea of the Pocket Cast app and using the streaming specifically so that you can get the audio, and when it goes into the background, it doesn't download the video, that's actually quite a nice one, which I liked. And then we did actually have one other suggestion from Travis, who wrote in, who had heard that in that same episode that Melissa had this problem, and suggested his favorite podcast player, iCatcher, which he's provided a link to. And it has a feature built in the download option of the app settings. You can restrict automatic downloads to only occur within a particular time range. So I think we may have our winner here with that. But I would suggest, this is $2.99 from the App Store, and I would say well worth it if it solves Melissa's problem. But in addition to that, if you run out of podcasts during the day, Melissa, then using Tanya's option of going back to the streaming and just streaming the audio version instead of the video version, and mark it as downloaded so that it's not going to put it in the queue of things to be fetched unless you want the video version of it later, is probably going to be quite a nice way around that. So yeah, I'm really glad all of our listeners, Mikah, and our watchers are such great people, because they're all chiming in with their suggestions for this, and it's really great to find that there are so many different ways to solve this problem.
It's amazing knowing that folks out there are paying attention and have thoughts. The last bit of feedback comes from Chris, separate from the Chris from earlier. Hi, Rosemary and Mikah. Still love the show. Hey, I'm glad to hear that. I'm writing to share what is to me a new function on the Apple TV. Speaking of which, as an aside, I got my new Apple TV in.
It's smaller, right, Mikah? It's actually smaller than the previous one.
Yeah, it's smaller than the previous one, which is weird. And I plugged it in with Ethernet, and I'm so happy. It loads so much faster. It's pretty great. Anyway, back to Chris. I accidentally double tapped the button represented by a screen, so that's that TV button, and the TV screen showed all the apps. So basically, what Chris did was launch the app switcher on the Apple TV. I can flip through them and usually go directly to where I left off in a program. I can flip through the apps like on an iPad rather than using the home screen to toggle between the app icons. Scrolling between app icons is dodgy, but flipping through the apps back and forth to programs in progress is much more satisfying. This program in progress may not work on all the apps, but it does for the ones I've tried it with so far. Rosemary had pointed to the functions of the same button when it's held down steadily, a function I already used. The discovery was a happy accident for me. We recently joined the Twit Club and are proud to support the network. Chris, thank you for joining Club Twit. Thank you. And for supporting the shows directly. So what Chris is talking about here is on your Siri remote or your Apple TV remote, depending on which remote you have. Sorry if you've got the Apple TV remote of yesteryear. There is the little TV icon. And if you long press on the TV icon, it brings up a sidebar. And on that sidebar, it's called Control Center, you will see the option to pick between users, and then you will see some options for like airplaying. If you've got AirPods nearby that are in your ears, then you can also access it from there. You can do some home stuff, but you can also make the TV go to sleep, which if you've got HDMI CEC set up, will also turn off your other devices. But if you double tap on that TV icon, then it launches the mode, and the name of it is escape. Oh, the app switcher.
It's the app switcher. Yeah.
Yes. So any active app is going to show up in that app switcher, any apps that you've launched at any given time. I use that when an app is being pesky and has trouble loading for whatever reason. I will go into that, and then you can swipe up on the trackpad to kill an app, to force quit an app, essentially. But it is also helpful, as Chris is pointing out, to switch between apps. If you ever leave an app when you're in the middle of a show, you can, in some cases, go back. The newer your Apple TV, the more likely it is that that show will still be where it is when you left off, because the more memory, random access memory, RAM, the more space you're going to have there for it to be able to keep it kind of locked in place. So one of these newer devices that have a much more powerful chip in them will definitely have that connection for a lot longer period of time, where you can switch between shows as you want to. But it's fun that Chris just came across this for the first time, and I'm glad that you came across this feature. And it makes me think that, we can never take for granted what may or may not be hidden to individuals, because I use that app switcher all the time, but people may not even know about it. And so it is good to be reminded of that, Chris. So I thank you for that.
Yeah. I was really glad that Chris wrote in sharing this because I'm sure there are a bunch of people out there who've missed the fact that you can, press and hold on the TV button, which I mentioned a little while ago, which Chris acknowledged, or double press the TV button. And there's a whole bunch of really cool features hidden inside of the Apple TV. And if you swipe down while something is playing, then you'll see a number of these options, like you can reduce loud sounds and things like that. But another good place to go and have a look for them is actually in the Shortcuts app on your iPhone, because the Apple TV remote has got lots of actions where it can do things like wake up your Apple TV. You can show the remote control for your Apple TV on your iPhone, of course. That's also in the control center. But you can also do things like reduce loud sounds, open particular apps, and things like that, which can be quite useful as well. So don't forget to take a look at playing with those settings and some of those options. Maybe you want to be able to easily skip content and you want a fast button on your phone to be able to skip forward 72 seconds on a particular Apple TV. So if I tap on that, then it will bring up both of my Apple TVs eventually. There we go. And I can say skip forward 72 seconds on the bedroom Apple TV. That's something you can do. And that's something that you can do on the Apple TV remote itself. If you have the newer one, the silver one with the black buttons, then you can actually swipe around the circle, or you can just press the right arrow to fast forward a little bit. But there are plenty of options. So feel free to play with it. But if something goes wrong, then maybe blame your cat first.
Yes, there's a good idea. All right, folks, with that, it is time to head into the app caps. Funky. This doesn't really fit on my head. This is the part of the show where Rosemary and I wear caps or other head coverings atop our heads to honor our app and gadget picks of the week. These are the apps and or gadgets we are using that we want to share with all of you. And to celebrate, we put things on our heads because that is fun and ridiculous. Rosemary Orchard, tell us about the cap atop your head, and then tell us about your app or gadget pick of the week.
Well, the cap atop my head is actually a French beret. It's actually a French beret from Paris, which my parents bought for me as a present on, I believe, New Year's Day a couple of years ago, which was a lovely gift. And it keeps my head nice and warm as well. It's a lovely real wool. I think it's merino and something else that's in there. Either way, it's very cozy, very warm. Got a nice little silky lining, and I actually wear it on a regular basis. We're in the time of year where I can use my own hat collection instead of my silly summer hats, Mikah. I do appreciate that. But my pick of the week, my app pick of the week, is a Safari extension that's available on all the platforms. It's on iPhone, iPad, and macOS as well. And it is a simple little app called Redirect Web for Safari. So if you have ever had a particular website open up and it always tries to send you somewhere else, and you don't want that, there's, for example, I found out about this through Jason Snell. Jason Snell has had a use case for this where he was getting links to the Mercury News, but there was a different one that he actually has a subscription to. I believe it was Jason Snell. Yes, it was Jason over at 6 Colors. And so he tried doing the nerdy thing, wrote a little bookmark so you could tap on a bookmark and it would redirect him and everything. And that's fine. And that's good. That works, for some people. But it's a little difficult for, an average person to set up and use. And so he went looking and he found Redirect Web for Safari, which it turns out solves a couple of problems that I've been having as well, where I want to always go to, for example, the IKEA UK website. I don't ever want to end up on a different IKEA website. And I always prefer to use amazon.co.uk instead of amazon.com and similar. And so I set this up, and I've got a demo one for folks here. So anybody who's used Reddit in the last couple of years might be aware that they've changed their user interface. But you can still get to the old user interface, which is the one that I actually find easy to search, if you go to old.reddit.com. So if there's a www in there, you replace www with old. And if there isn't www, then you just add old dot before the reddit.com bit. And then the rest of the URL stays the same. So I wrote a redirect URL Okay, and I'm actually using a regular expression for this because I've got an optional www dot in there. I could have simply written this as two different URLs, and I have put an example in here. So if I actually go back and I create a new rule, then you can see that I put in the redirect from, and then I put what it needs to redirect to, and I can add some samples. I can exclude particular URL patterns as well, and I can even add comments, and I can change how I want to do the URL pattern. So do I just want to put I believe it's a star at the end, or put a star somewhere in the middle, and that's the special part that always has to be reused, which you then input in the redirect to with $1, or you can use a regular expression like I've done with this Reddit example. And in this Reddit example, I've actually got two groups. I've got www dot as one group, and then I've got the dot star at the end, which is my second group. So I've had to use $2 because the part that I want to keep is the second part. But then what happens when I open a link, which I happen to have an example of here, and so I'm just going to select this, and there we go, copy that, and hit return. I've not made any changes here, so I don't need to save it, so I'll just tap cancel. And what I can do, I can just open Safari. It's my shortcut. It always opens start.go for me. And I am just going to paste in this link. Okay, and I've already gone through the whole setup process. It walks you through all of that. Now, I should note, I also have Apollo installed on my iPhone, because usually what I would prefer is for it to be redirected to Apollo, but I will tap cancel on that when that pops up. But you can see it's changed the URL that it's going to old.reddit.com. The internet on my phone is being very slow right now. I'm not quite sure why, but that's okay, because it's shown you the bit that I wanted to show you. There we go. And now you can see that this particular IKEA hack has opened using the old Reddit interface. And if I tap on this, then you should be able to, if it ever loads, see somebody has made a fabulous, fancy IKEA litter box house for their cat, which is rather cool. And I spotted that on the IKEA hack subreddit earlier. And so I thought that would be a nice example to show folks. But unfortunately, my iPhone's turned invisible, so I'll have to leave it there. But Mikah, you've not just got a hat on your head. What have you got on your head? Are you the beer can?
I've got a turkey. I guess I am the beer can, yeah. I am wearing a turkey atop my head with the wings and the drumsticks and the little white puff things they put on the end. And it is delightful, except that it makes me have to crouch very low in the chair, so my voice is changing a little bit, and I don't have as much breath support. In any case, I wanted to talk about an app that appeared over on The Verge as a review, an app called MEM, M-E-M, which can be found at mem.ai. And the reason why this app stuck out for me, it's in beta right now, and actually the test flight beta just filled, so that's kind of annoying. I was able to get in right before, but now as I'm sharing this, you'll have to wait for it to come out a little bit later. You can use the online version, though. The reason why MEM stuck out to me is because MEM has a text feature where you can text the service, and it will save the things that you send to it. So what is MEM? Well, it is a note-taking app that has a lot of artificial intelligence playing a role in your note-taking. You can think of apps like Obsidian, Notion, and some of these other ones that are attempting to be your brain outside of your brain. They are meant to just collect all of the thoughts and notes and events and emails and all sorts of stuff that you have in a given day, and keep those in a place where you can find them when you need them. And what MEM does is it tries to use the artificial intelligence to connect the dots between the things, so that over time, as you build out your notes and your collections of text, you can kind of get a summary of what is going on, or look at connections between different pieces and see that kind of come together. As I've mentioned, though, one way that I like to save, like my save for later in the past has mostly been me just texting myself. I will send a message to myself that has a link or has an image or has whatever I need, and then I will just revisit that text option. But iOS does not like it when you text yourself. iOS will do whatever it can to make it so that whenever you're like typing in your contact information of your own name, it will be like, you couldn't possibly be wanting to talk to yourself. So I'm going to suggest every other option instead, which is very annoying whenever what you do intend to do is text yourself. So with that, I have to often start to type in my phone number. And even still, it will try to suggest everything it possibly can before it will select me. So that can kind of get annoying. And so I thought, this would be kind of fun to try something else that will allow me to send a text as I'm so used to, but instead of sending it to me, I send it to Mem. And I like that Mem also you can tie it in with your email. And so it will sort of start to make contact information for you, but then show you, you got these emails over the past few days, and here's how this ties to the calendar events that you might have, and the notes that you took on this day and uploaded here, or the photos that you posted here. And it makes these connections and forms everything together in a really clever way. And you can try it out for free and continue to use it for free. The premium version that adds in more AI magic is $10 a month. But as I said, it's still in beta, so I'm just trying out the free version for now to see if it's something that I'll stick with. But I wanted other people to learn about it because I think that it is an interesting idea, if nothing else, and maybe something that you'll find valuable. But you can learn more at mem.ai. And I'm slowly but surely building out my Mem and seeing how well it works for me. So yeah, that's mem.ai, sort of available in the App Store, although right now the beta is full, so it may take a second. I believe that brings, I'm going to actually sit back up. That brings us to the end of this episode of iOS Today. If you have questions, feedback, concerns, etc., Shortcuts Corner requests, you can send those to iostoday@twit.tv. We record the show live every Tuesday at 12 p.m. Eastern, 9 a.m. Pacific. So you can tune in to watch us record the show live at twit.tv/live. But the best way to get the show is by subscribing to it or following it by going to twit.tv/iOS. There you will see links to subscribe to both audio and video formats of the show across all the platforms that we're on: YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, I've already said YouTube, lots of different places, Pocket Casts, which we mentioned earlier. So that way you can get it when you need it. And if you would like to get all of our shows and help support us, as Chris mentioned earlier, you should check out Club Twit. For $7 a month or $84 a year, you can join the club at twit.tv/clubtwit. When you do, it's not just support that you're giving. You're also going to get a lot of great things in return. You will get all of our shows ad-free because you instead are the one that is making the show possible. You'll get access to the Twit Plus bonus feed that has extra content you won't find anywhere else. Outtakes, before the show, after the show, behind the scenes, etc. You also get access to the members-only Discord server. That is a fun place to chat with your fellow Club Twit members and also those of us here at Twit. And that is not all. Again, $7 a month to start. You can choose to pay more if you'd like. We heard from some people that are like, $7 a month is not enough. Let us give you more. So you can, if you'd like. $7 a month, $84 a year to start. You also are going to get access to some shows that are exclusive to the club, including the Untitled Linux Show, a show, as you might imagine, about Linux. Paul Thurrott's Hands on Windows. So if you are a Windows user, then you can learn all sorts of tips and tricks and other things about Windows. Or my show, Hands on Mac, which is a show about all of Apple's devices, where it's a shorter format show where I've got tips and tricks and reviews and app suggestions, etc. So all of that is part of our Club Twit subscription. It is incredibly valuable. And it means the world to us that you are our supporters. So thank you to our club. Rosemary Orchard, if folks want to follow you online and check out all the great work you're doing, where should they go to do so?
Well, one place right now, the Club Twit Discord, the iOS Today channel clearly has decided the pet tax must be paid. We are being inundated with adorable pictures of doggos right now. It's great. Princess Skills has just popped up. Other than that, though, you can find me all around the internet. RosemaryOrchard.com has links to all the places you can find me online: podcasts, books, social media, etc. But I am also available on micro.blog and Twitter with the usernames Rosemary Orchard. What about you, Mikah?
Yes, you can find me online on many social media networks at Mikah Sargent, although it's at Mikah Sargent at mastodon.social if you want to follow me on Mastodon. But you can always head to chihuahua.coffee. That's CHIHUAHUA.coffee, where I've got links to the places I'm most active online. Thank you all for tuning into this episode of iOS Today. I hope that your plans and preparations for the holiday seasons go very well. I guess it's one season. For the holiday season, go very well, and that you are ready to rock and roll with the help of some great apps to get you there. Until next week, we say goodbye to all of you.
Hey, we should talk Linux. It's the operating system that runs the internet, but your game consoles, cell phones, and maybe even the machine on your desk. But you already knew all that. What you may not know is that Twit now has a show dedicated to it, the Untitled Linux Show. Whether you're a Linux pro, a burgeoning sysadmin, or just curious what the big deal is, you should join us on the Club Twit Discord every Saturday afternoon for news, analysis, and tips to sharpen your Linux skills. And then make sure you subscribe to the Club Twit exclusive Untitled Linux Show. Wait, you're not a Club Twit member yet? Well, go to twit.tv/clubtwit and sign up. Hope to see you there.